So I've been checking out a lot of Lionel Messi stuff recently, and a lot of different things that have to do with soccer or football, European soccer or football. And yeah, I wanted to get to know more about the game. I've had you guys request, suggest a few things, and this was one that just randomly popped up on my radar. But I am also going to check out the other ones that were suggested. But I wanted to check those ones out after this one because this one is a shorter one, and I figured like the other ones would be better to explain even more. Anyways, this one here is called "Understanding European Soccer in Four Simple Steps: A Guide for Americans." This is on the Pen and Paper channel. Link is in the description box below. With that said, let us check this out. Hopefully, it gives me the knowledge I'm looking for.
Welcome to Understanding Soccer in Europe in 4 Simple Steps, a guide for Americans.
Okay.
Although from the outside it may seem complex and confusing, to understand how soccer works in Europe, you really only need to know 4 things. Number 1, each country has its own soccer league. Seasons run from August to May,
whole country.
in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road. Games are divided into 2 45-minute halves.
Wait, so you play every team twice from every country? Let me go back. That's kind of wild. That's wild.
Every other team twice, once
Let
at
me go
home and once
back.
on the road. Games are you need to know 4 things. Number 1, each country has its own soccer league. Seasons run from August to May, in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road. Games are divided into 2 45-minute halves, and when the game is over, the winner is awarded 3 points, the loser 0, and in the event of a tie, each team gets 1 point. After each team has played all the other teams twice, the team with the most points is crowned champion of the league. They get a big trophy, a parade, and the season is over. There are no playoffs. Sort of. But more on that in a minute. Before
So
the
what
books
does
are
the
closed
World
on the
Cups
season,
have to do
there
with
is
it?
still one small bit of housekeeping to be done. Number 2, relegation. We'll use the German League as an example. Every year, when the German League has concluded and the champion has been crowned, the 3 teams with the least amount of points are kicked out of the league. This process is known as relegation. The 3 vacant spots are subsequently filled by the top 3 teams from Germany's second division. And unlike, say, baseball in the US, teams in the second and subsequent divisions are not owned by teams in the top division. Imagine if the Pittsburgh Pirates or Oakland Raiders had to...
I'm already confused. Are we saying that there are multiple teams? I thought you said each country has its own team, like a single team. That would seem like he's talking about multiple teams in a damn country. I'm confused. You guys have to let me know. I'm hoping those other videos explain a bit more for me. Maybe I'm just slow. Yeah, that definitely could be the case.
fight at the end of each season just to stay in the league. What if instead of coasting to the bottom for better draft picks, they were fighting to the bitter end to avoid the $40 million revenue loss that relegated teams suffer in the first year alone? Not to mention the fact that in England, 9 different teams have gone financially insolvent within 5 years of relegation.
Okay, so there are
interesting
multiple
enough,
teams per country.
What about that whole lack of playoffs part? Number 3, each country also holds an elimination-style tournament, referred to as a cup. But instead of being held after the 9-month league is over, cup games are scheduled in between league games, normally in the middle of the week. One additional perk about the cup system is that teams from all levels, down to semi-professional and even some amateur teams, are invited to play.
That's awesome.
Well, can progress and occasionally even knock off a top team.
I like that even the lower divisions type of teams can get a chance to even knock out some of the top players and top teams in the league. That's awesome. I like that. You don't get that in like NBA or nothing like that. That's awesome. Because you never know. There could be some teams way better than you or just gotten better who's these lower level divisions. I like that.
So every year, these midweek elimination games continue until there are only 2 teams left who play each other in the cup final. After 90 minutes, a cup champion is crowned, they get a trophy and a parade. So, between the league and cup games, we get a great picture of who the best and worst teams in each country are. But wait a second, you ask. What would happen if the best teams from each country in Europe all got together and played each other? Good idea. Number 4. The resulting competition is called the UEFA Champions League, and it is without a doubt the single greatest club competition of any sport anywhere in the world, period. Think of the NCAA tournament, but with better quality of play, more than double the fan base, and quadruple the enthusiasm. And yes, Europe even has their own version of the NIT as well. So, Through a complex and drawn-out process, teams from all over Europe compete just to qualify for this tournament. And starting each September, the top 32 teams are put into 8 groups of the NIT as well. So, through a complex and drawn-out process, teams from all over Europe compete just to qualify for this tournament. And starting each September, the top 32 teams are put into 8 groups of 4. Each team plays the other members of its group 2 times, once at home and once on the road. Come December, the winner and runner-up from each group move on to the knockout round. And this is where club soccer is at its finest. Teams are paired up individually and again play 1 home and 1 away game, with the winner from each pair moving on to the next round until only 2 teams remain. The Champions League final is then held as a single game each year in May. And unless it's the World Cup year, this is the most important soccer game of the year. After 90 minutes, a champion is crowned.
So what is the World Cup? The World Cup is just everybody
all clubs go on break until the madness fires back up again in August. So, to review.
This is just European?
Each country has its own league. Number 2, the worst teams are kicked out of the league.
Each country has its own league. I did mishear what he said. He didn't say its own team. He said league. All right, now I get it. Now within those leagues, the different teams play against each other to see who's the best in that league, and then the leagues compete against each other, I guess. Okay, I got it now. What the Why didn't it play?
On break until the madness fires back up again in August. So, to review. Number 1. Each country
I'm curious
has its own
though,
league.
where does the World
2,
Cup come
the
into
worst
play?
teams are kicked out of the league and
That
replaced by
just
the best teams from the next division.
is in focus
Number
on
3,
your
tournament
side.
involving
I
all
gotta
of Europe
rewind
and
that.
is the most important. 2, the worst teams are kicked out of the league. Number 1, each country has its own league. Number 2, the worst teams are kicked out of the league and replaced by the best teams from the next division down. Number 3, throughout the year, each country also holds a playoff-type tournament called a cup. And number 4, the UEFA Champions League is a tournament involving all of Europe and is the most important competition in all of club soccer.
All of Europe. That's wild. That's a whole lot. I like it. This video does get me even more interested in checking out some what we call it soccer here. Whatever you guys want me to call it, it truly don't matter to me. Football, soccer. I'll call it soccer in this video because that's what's in the title. This did get me very, very interested. Like, I've been watching some Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. I've enjoyed a lot of their stuff, but they're supposed to be some of the greats. So I want to check out a game in person. I prefer watching, for sports like soccer, baseball, football, aside from the Super Bowl. I like watching the Super Bowl at home and stuff, but I'd like to go to a game. But most sports, I prefer watching in person than on the TV, except for UFC and stuff, because you can't hear the commentary and whatnot in the arena, at least to my knowledge. So most other sports I prefer watching in person, especially like baseball. I would prefer to watch a game in person, soccer too, and all these other sports. I love that type of stuff. I may not watch a whole lot of sports outside of like UFC, but this video here, it did explain quite a bit. I did get caught up in the beginning because I did mishear him. I should have just rewound, but I thought I heard him right. I thought he said each country has its own team, but he said league. That's what caught me up, and that's what got me confused in the beginning. This is a good video. This explained quite a bit in this short amount of time. I will be checking out those other videos. I believe they will explain a lot more to me. This one was more so focused on the European side of things, not the global side of soccer, but I wanted to get more knowledge on the game itself. This one didn't show me much of the game aside from the actual aspects of the competition is more so what it focused on. But regardless, this was a good one. I will be checking out more stuff like this so I can get to know more of the game and see if it gets me interested in checking out one of these games. I know for a fact that I want to see Lionel Messi play before he retires. I believe he's coming to an end of his career, so I have to see that. But as for getting more interested in just watching soccer in general, I'm looking for videos like this to help me do so. Anyways, yeah, that's it. This is good. That's it.